And I think the biggest enemy of the state right now is the misinformation that's coming out of the head of state. I think the biggest threat to the American people is the American president right now.
A few moments later.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is being criticized by members of her own party for seeing you-know-who in the White House yesterday to talk about issues affecting her state.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know that it helps us out a lot. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you this content. Now, y'all, today's story, we're talking about another governor that has bent the knee. Now, I know when I say that, it sounds provocative, y'all. It is provocative. I'm being purposefully provocative, but I just want to go on record as saying I think governors should work with the president. Of course they should. The president should work with the governors should work with the president. It's just that when you come from a long line of criticizing, being nasty, and then you come back and you say, oh yeah, we can work together. It kind of gives you that sense that that person has bent the knee, right? Especially when, in the case of Governor Whitmer, she was just campaigning for Kamala Harris, saying all kinds of nasty things about Donald Trump. And I know many people would agree with her, right? But it's just that now that he's the president, of course, she has to come around and see things in a way such that, oh yeah, I can work with this guy. And a lot of people are criticizing her for that, right? So we're going to get into that shortly. First, let's take a look at some of the back and forth that these two have had over the years. As you can see here, he previously called her failing Michigan governor, that's Whitmer, and he said she must work harder. Now, this was during the COVID time, y'all. There's a lot of back and forth. But listen to what Trump says. Listen to what he says here.
The president was asked about that exchange today at a press conference in Washington.
I only do that when I have to respond. I watched her on television. She said something that was false, and therefore I did do that. And I will continue to do that. If they're not going to play fair, because, they have the media on their side, I don't. I just have me. And if they're not going to play fair, I'm going to do that. If they are going to play fair, there's going to be nobody better than Donald Trump in terms of bipartisanship.
My personal opinion was that this administration has been reckless and not particularly well informed. I've never believed that they read all the briefings that they're supposed to read. But it's a whole nother thing to be reckless or ignorant and to be deceptive and to have American lives lost because of it. They knew, they didn't tell us. And I think the biggest enemy of the state right now is the misinformation that's coming out of the head of state. I think the biggest threat to the American people is the American president right now. And it's devastating, and I do not relish saying that.
So as you can see in the past, these two have had quite the nasty back and forth. Y'all, this is what our politics has come to, but maybe this is kind of a great example that despite previous conflict and problems, two people can put their past behind them to work for the betterment, for the good of the people, of the American people. As you will see here, now they're making nice, y'all. Now they're making nice. Maybe that should give us some hope. Maybe it should give us all some hope.
See, we're signing a lot of executive orders, and some ambassadors have been approved, yes, and we're going to start that process right now. We're honored to have Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, great state of Michigan, and she's really done an excellent job, and a very good person. And we're working on the Selfridge, as you know, the air base. We're trying to get the air base open, keep it open. I think, Gretchen, if you're there, and Matt Hall, the Speaker of the House of Michigan. And he's been fantastic as the Speaker. I appreciate it. We won the state, Matt, and you helped me a lot.
But as you will see here, as the ladies on The View say, there is criticism. Whitmer is being criticized for bending the knee, but surprisingly, some of these hosts from The View have actually backed her up. So y'all, are we turning a corner? Are we turning a corner such that if you work with President Trump for your state, you get a pass? Hey y'all, that wouldn't be bad, right? It wouldn't be bad that any governor worked with any president for the benefit of their own constituents. Let's take a look.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is being criticized by members of her own party for seeing you-know-who in the White House yesterday to talk about issues affecting her state. The visit sure seemed to change the way you-know-who feels about her, though. He used to talk mad stuff about her. Not nice either. So maybe he is having some sort of crisis. Maybe he doesn't remember that he didn't care for her.
He had some nicknames
He
for
was
her, right?
really kind of
that woman
ugly.
from Michigan.
Oh, that woman. You know, I got to tell you, I know that she's getting a lot of flack from it, but as the governor of the great state of Michigan, she has an absolute obligation, I think, to show up there, do business for the people of her state. Her spokesperson said that while she was at the White House to meet with President Trump about Michigan matters, she was surprised to have been pulled into the Oval Office for the executive order signing, and that her presence is not an endorsement of the actions taken.
Talking about Governor Whitmer and the judgment from a lot of Democrats as to what it was a bad look to be working with Donald Trump and be in the Oval Office, why these executive orders are being signed. The conversation around this is why I despise partisan politics. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. She literally represents Michigan. She got voted in, and so did Donald Trump. Yeah. He's the president of the United States. We're going through all of this. She has to work with them and deal with the manufacturing, the stuff that affects it. A picture is 1 second.
And here's what Whitmer said after her meeting with the president. You know, look, y'all, she's putting the best spin on it possible. I'm not going to criticize somebody for trying to get her constituents what they need from the federal government.
How was the Oval Office yesterday?
Well, I think you heard the young man in there. You got to show up, right?
Okay. Did he make
you want results, you got to show up. So I'm showing up for Michigan.
Did he make you feel comfortable?
You know, I did not know. They walked me in. I thought I was going into our private meeting, and of course it was that press conference. But I did have the opportunity to chat with the president, as you heard him say, some great things about Selfridge, about protecting the Great Lakes. And I also, the primary purpose was to talk about the ice storm and the recovery that is ongoing and the need for federal resources.
Did you get the chance to talk to the president about tariffs and the impact on Michigan and get that message
Every
across?
time I have the opportunity, I take it, of course, and I was in D.C., gave a speech about tariffs in the morning. The coverage was wild. Some people said I endorse all the Trump tariffs. Some said I lambasted him, and actually I said tariffs are a blunt tool. You don't use them to hammer the American economy. You use it to level, and I think that's why we got to have a real strategy around manufacturing. I'm glad he changed his policy with regard to the reciprocal tariffs, but nonetheless, we still have very concerning manufacturing tariffs that Michigan feels harder than anyone else.
Able to convey that message to President Trump, though, at all?
Of course, yes.
But it seems like right now all we've bought is a little more time. I mean, obviously these are.
Yep.
How do you elaborate on what's going to be a day-to-day of ups and downs, different swings? I mean, people look at it economically, let alone policy.
You know, it's terrible policy. You know, in the speech that I gave yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, but it certainly, you know, encourage you to take a look at the text or the video. It is, you know, we've got to be really precise. We've got to be strategic and thinking long-term.
So what do you think? I imagine you would agree with me, right? You would agree, look, hey, she's elected to do a job. If Donald Trump can help out with that, she needs to meet with Trump. If you disagree, or if you agree, let me know in the comments. Thank y'all for watching. I want to ask y'all to stop real quick. Please hit the share button. Share this video out. Put in somebody's email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or put them all in. I appreciate y'all. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching. Love y'all, and see you back in the next one.